Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamanasukri Prajakacharya Ashto Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mahi Ki Jai Jamuna Mahi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Srimad Bhagavatam 192. Tada te bhratara sarve sadashvai swarna bhushitaha anvagachchan retire vipra vyasa tomyadayas tata. Give this to Bhakti Trail. Tadate bhratara sarve sadashvai svarna bhushitaha sadashvai svarna bhushitaihi anvagachchan retire vipra yasatom yadayastata Tadate pratara sarve sadashvai svarna bhushitaihi anvagachchan retire vipra yasatom yadayastata
Tadate bhratara sarve sadashvai sharna
bhushitaihi anvagachchan retire vipra yasatom yadayastata
Tadate bhratara sarve
sadashvai swarna bhushitaihi
anvagachchan retire vipra
vyasatom yadayastata Tadate bhratara sarve sadashvai svarna bhushitaihi anvagachchan retire vipra Tadate bhratara sarve sadashvai svarna bhushitaihi anvagachchan retire vipra yasatom yadayastata. Ladies. Tadate bhratara sarve sadashvai svarna bhushitaihi anvagachchan retire vipra vyasatom yadayastata. Tada. At that time, te, all of them, bhrataraha, the brothers, sarve, all together, sadashvai, drawn by first-class horses, swarna, gold, bhushitaihi, being decorated with, anvagachchan, followed one after another, Rataihi, on the chariots, Vipraha, O Brahmanas, Vyasa, the sage Vyas, Dhomya, Adayaha, and others, Tata, also. At that time, all his brothers followed him on beautiful chariots drawn by first-class horses decorated with gold ornaments. With them were Vyasa and rishis like Tomya, the learned priest of the Pandavas, and others. Bhagavan api viprarshe ratena satananjayaha satar vyarojata nripa kuvera iva guyakaihi. O sage amongst the Brahmanas, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, also followed, seated on a chariot with Arjuna. Thus King Yudhishthir appeared very aristocratic, like Kuvera, surrounded by his companions, the Guhyakas. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna wanted the Pandavas to be present before Bhishma Dev in the most aristocratic order, so that he might be pleased to see them happy at the time of his death. Kuvera is the richest of all the demigods, and herein King Yudhishthir appeared like him, Kuvera, for the procession along with Sri Krishna was quite appropriate to the royalty of King Yudhishthir. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Miditam Jina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Pistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Koda Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Padakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrasatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Pradijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Tarate Pratara Sarve Sadashvai Svarnabhushitai Anvagach Chandratara Vipra Vyasadhom Yadayastata Bhagavanapi Viprarshe Ratena Satananjayaha Satar Vyarochata Nripa Kuvera Iva Guyakai. So the Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas were on their way to see Bhishma Dev, who was lying on the bed of arrows. King Yudhishthira wanted to approach Bhishma Dev Sarva Dharma Vivitsaya, to understand everything concerning his prescribed duties. It wasn't just an idle visit. Or merely a formal duty to pay respects. he wanted to understand Sarva Dharma. And therefore, he went to that place at Kurukshetra, where Bhishma Dev was about to pass away. Tadate Bratara Sarve, Sadashvai, Svarna Pushitai, Anvagachchan Ratar Vipra, Vyasadhom Yadayastada. So there was a procession. The Vedic culture was not unceremonious. There was, especially for the Kshatriya order, a need of making a serious impression. I read somewhere that the British, while in India, they only had a few men, but they made a big impression with their buildings and their establishment. It seemed like something quite solid, even though there were only, well, more than a handful, but relatively speaking, a small number of British officers, British administrators. But they made a big impression with their establishment. Just as in Mayapur also, we're building a big temple, because if we build a small temple, it won't be impressive. You have to build something big, and then people say, oh, it's big. Then they take you seriously. So the Kshatriyas, especially, this was part of their program, to appear in procession with opulent chariots decorated with gold and with many people in the procession. When we did the first Ratha Yatra in New York also, Prabhupada said that we should, along with the chariots, as many cars as we had, we should bring in the procession. Didn't matter, cars, vans, whatever we had, and they weren't that impressive, but just to augment the size of the parade, he said we should take all whatever vehicles we had. So processions should be impressive, that's the point. Then, and we can see how opulent they were. The chariots were decorated with gold. These days the vehicles are decorated with chrome and cheap metal. But in those days, Svarna Pushitai, gold. Now you can hardly get gold. Who can do anything with gold? But even the chariots were decorated with gold. And there were rishis like Vyasadev and Tomya, so this was further, what would you say? It means further evidence that this was a substantial procession. Not only Kshatriyas, but learned men. And Bhagavan api viprashe ratena sad dhananjaya satayar vyarochata nripa kuvera iva guyakai. And Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, was also in the procession as the friend of Arjuna, Krishna Sakha, and the follower of Maharaj Yudhisthira. What is that? Anvagachchan. They were, everyone was in the lineup. So Yudhisthira Maharaj was in the front because he's the king. And Krishna is with Arjuna following along, because Arjuna is the younger brother of the king. And Krishna was appearing as the friend of Arjuna. Hey Krishna, Krishna Sakha. So this is the greatest opulence of the Pandavas, that Krishna was their friend. Someplace there's a statement by Narada Muni that what else is there to say? That Krishna acted as your friend, as your charioteer, sometimes as your messenger, your order carrier. So what else can we say about the Pandavas? Krishna acted in all these different ways, just like their humble servant. So this is Krishna. He's Bhagavan, all opulent, all powerful, all everything. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he didn't ride in the front of the procession. Although he's the personality of Godhead. At the Yagya, what was that? Ashwamedha Yagya of Maharaj Yudhisthira? Rajasuya Yagya. Rajasuya Yagya of Maharaj Yudhisthira. The discussion was who should receive the first worship. And it was agreed that Krishna, agreed by everyone but Shishupal, agreed that Krishna should be worshipped first, because no one is greater than Krishna. Although there were, as pointed out by Shishupal, so many great sages present, great personalities like Bhishma, so many highly qualified men. No one could exceed Krishna. No one could exceed Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita also, what is that, Kutonya? In the 11th chapter. Arjuna is praying to Krishna. Natvatsamostya bhyadika kutonya. No one's equal to you, and what to speak of being greater than you. Natvat sama asti abhyadika kutonya. No one's equal to you, so how could anyone be greater than you? That means Krishna's asamordha. No one's equal, no one's greater. And yet, Yudhisthira is at the front of the procession, and Krishna is following behind. This is another opulence of Krishna. He's detached. In material consciousness, I want to be up front. Everyone's jockeying for position. Everyone's aspiring to be ahead. Prabhupada, that incident was there in Prabhupada's life where he went to visit Dynapan, the printing company, and he was received by some junior member of the company. And Prabhupada, he was talking with the man, then the big executives came in. And the gentleman had presented to Prabhupada his business card, and then each of the big executives came and kind of offered respects very formally and presented their card, and one after another. And then there was some discussion about printing and price and all of that. And then the big men all left, and Prabhupada was alone again with the junior man. So Prabhupada was talking with him, naturally. And Prabhupada asked him, what is your goal in life? What is your goal in life? So the man took the stack of business cards that had been presented and took his card from the bottom and put it on top. This is my goal. So in the material world, everyone wants to be ahead. But that means we're attached. If someone gets a post, he never wants to give it up. The big politicians, once they're in office, you could dynamite their office and still they wouldn't get out. They're so attached. So much trouble to get this post. Now I'll never leave. They'll die in office. This is attachment. One gets a position and doesn't want to give it up, either for the prestige or for the opportunities, that the office affords, or power, or security. For whatever reason, one thinks now, if I leave this post, what would I do? I've achieved this post. If I weren't doing this, what would I do? Or else he thinks, how would it go on without me? If I weren't CEO, or if I weren't Chief Technical Officer, or if I weren't watching over this or watching over that, whoever took it up would mess things up. I'm the only one who knows how this works properly. So he doesn't want to give up. This is attachment. Everyone is attached to anything. Chief garbage collector, he's still attached to his post. But Krishna, although he has the highest post, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he puts Yudhisthira Maharaj in front. And he takes the subordinate position. So this is one of Krishna's 6 opulences. He's detached. We're all attached. And that's a kind of a fault. The more one is attached, the more he's, what would you say, materially attached, the more he's
Miserable.
yeah, he's miserable and also pitiful. The more attached he is, the more pitiful he is. This old man is attached to his marbles. He is pitiful. But if one is detached, he becomes glorious. If someone can renounce, if someone can give up, if someone can not be interested, not take into account my post, my money, my opulence, my this, my that, my home. If one can leave it all, just like Vidura. He was insulted by Duryodhana. Who asked him to come here? He's always acted as our enemy. And he's a Dasi Putra. He should just be beaten and thrown out. So Vidura didn't think, where else will I go? This is my whole life, Hastinapur. He walked out. He walked out. Went on pilgrimage. Met Maitreya. Became fully enlightened in the science of Krishna because he was detached. And Dhritarashtra, by hook or by crook, holding on, the literal meaning, Rashtra Dhrita, he's holding on to the kingdom, just grasping, doesn't want to let go. And therefore he's seen as pathetic old man. Whereas Vidura is glorious. Why? Because detached. So this is one of Krishna's 6 opulences, supremely detached. He owns the whole world, and he lets the demons enjoy it. This is my world. No? Play, have fun. So Krishna enjoys more being the servant of Yudhisthira Maharaj, being the subordinate of Yudhisthira Maharaj, than being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he takes pleasure in the role of subordinate. This is Bhaktavatsa. He's the well-wisher of the devotees. Krishna the king will be glorified. That's pleasing. Even Mathura, Krishna could have been king, but no, Ugrasena should be king. Lord Ramchandra also. He could have taken Lanka, all that trouble to capture Lanka or to, yes, conquer Lanka. And he made Vibhishana king. Why should I be king? So this is the opulence of Krishna, supremely detached, doesn't care. And he, apart from being detached, he wants to glorify the devotee. So Yudhisthira should be glorified. And also he wanted to please Bhishma Dev. That Bhishma Dev had to see the Pandavas always harassed by Duryodhana and company. But now, Partranaya Sadhguna, Krishna had arranged for the Pandavas to be victorious. And for the pleasure of Bhishma Dev, the Lord arranged that now Maharaj Yudhisthira should come, and in full opulence. This was the objective of the battle of Kurukshetra, to Vinashaya Chatuskritam, to subdue the wicked usurpers of the kingdom, and to establish a pure devotee as the head of state. So now it was accomplished, and Bhishma had always been affectionate toward the Pandavas, and now he would see them gloriously established. Okay, any questions, comments, additions, subtractions?
You said Dhritarashtra has a meaning. Dhritarashtra has a meaning?
Dhritarashtra has a meaning, yes. Rashtra is the kingdom. Maharashtra. Rashtra. And Dhrita, holding on firmly. Holding on firmly. Dhrita, just like Dhrita. Dhrita means holding on. Am I right? Holding on. So holding on to the kingdom, that's Dhritarashtra. Won't let go. Although it wasn't his. He was disqualified. Blind. Blind means disqualified. You can't be the head of the state and be blind. Of course, now it's the qualification. If you're blind, you get elected, but that's another thing. But literally blind anyway, you can't be the king. So then the kingdom devolved upon his younger brother, Pandu. But then when Pandu died, Dhritarashtra became the caretaker, and he thought, I'm the caretaker of all these boys. Why should those boys be the inheritors? It didn't come to me, but my boys could take it. In that way. Although he couldn't keep it himself, he thought, it'll go to my sons. Mahamaka Pandavas Chaiva, in this way he's making the division. My sons, Pandu's sons. Why not my sons? I'm the older brother. I may be blind, but they're not blind. So in that way they have seniority over the Pandavas, he was thinking. And then by any kind of trick, he thought he could hold on, and favoring his crooked son, Duryodhana. So Dhritarashtra. Something else? Yes?
Maharaj, in terms, these are counter-arguments people give to me. If a parent has a child, and a child is about to get hurt, the parent would immediately try and save the child. But with Krishna, if he's so detached and so renounced, why does he allow people to experience that suffering? Why can't he just stop that?
They want it. They're insisting. Why is Krishna allowing the conditioned souls to suffer? Because they want to. They want to act in such and such way, which will bring them suffering. And Krishna instructs them, don't do this. So much Shastras there, at least how to perform pious activities, and finally how to surrender to Krishna, Sarvadharma. They don't want to do it. No, we'll enjoy. All right. Prabhupada gives the example that the child wants to put his finger in the fan. Father says, don't do that, you'll hurt yourself. No. All right, fine. Because insisting. Prabhupada said Krishna doesn't interfere with the tiny independence of the living entity. He wants to insist on independence, then Krishna's all right. You want it both ways. You want to insist on your independence, and you want to criticize Krishna for allowing you to be independent. Right? And we'll insist on being independent, and then we'll blame Krishna for our suffering. You know, grow up, take responsibility for your own suffering. You're the person who insisted. Face it. And straighten out. Anything else? Okay. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Jayadvaita Maharaj ki
Jai.
Bhakti Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.